I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Lobo Tiggre from the IndependentSpeculator.com. He's speaking to us from Puerto Rico. Welcome back to the show in a sort of way, Lobo.
Thanks, Jim. I am glad to be back.
Long-term listeners to our program will know that perhaps you were Louis James from KC Research, but now you've reemerged as Lobo Tiggre, and you're now an independent voice talking about investments and money, and we're really appreciative of your time and the ability to speak to us from Puerto Rico, which is still recovering, isn't it?
Yes. It looks a little bit better every day, but you can still see the impact. You take away something like 50 to 90% of the trees on an island, and it's going to take a while to look good again. But I want to jump in on the earlier comment just to clarify things for our listeners who may not recognize my voice. Yes, I am the same Louis James who worked almost 14 years with Doug Casey at the International Speculator. Very grateful to have had Doug's teaching for all those years. Louis James was a pen name, and I'm going out on my own, and integrity and transparency are really the cornerstones of what I'm trying to do here. So I just thought it was inappropriate to have a pen name and let loose with my real, rather colorful name, but there it is. So it is what it is, and now you know.
Tariffs have been looming over the international trade market since Donald Trump decided that steel and aluminum imports needed to be either curtailed or controlled. Do you think it's a danger to the American economy to make those products more expensive?
That's a loaded question. Tariffs, protectionism, it's bad any way you do it. And I know the pro-Trump people will want to jump on me for this, and it's a difficult situation because even if you like some of the things Trump has done, like the tax cuts, I like tax cuts. If you say anything critical, people are so sensitive to the hostility directed at Donald Trump that they want to assume that you're entirely hostile. And that's not the case. And I'm not bashing Trump here. For all your Trump-friendly listeners, I am saying that protectionism has been demonstrated over the centuries to just be a bad idea. I get that the Chinese practices are not fair. I'm not saying that should be ignored. I am saying that a trade war is a bad idea. Protectionist policies tend to make everybody poorer on all sides. This is a well-documented economic fact. So yes, I'm not a fan of the tariffs. I'm very much not a fan of a big trade war heating up. I think, though, that at the end of the day, for commodities investors, resource investors, it's not necessarily all of one or the other in terms of outcomes. For one thing, the volatility is good for the safe haven assets like gold and silver. So for precious metals investors, whether you agree with me or not about protectionism as a policy, this roiling of the waters can actually be good for your precious metals. For your industrial metals, not so good if it actually puts the brakes on production. But a lot of things are fungible. Like you put sanctions on Iran for their oil, right? But it's hard to tell one barrel of oil from another. And Iran got around those sanctions, and Iranian oil was still produced, right? So you put tariffs on some of these metals. Yes, it's going to be easier to supervise imports coming from Russia, say. But if you've got stocks at the LME warehouses, I don't think very many people are going to go and inspect, where did this ingot come from? So at the end of the day, I don't think the tariffs are going to kill the mining industry, and costs get passed through to the users. The ultimate loser, if there is, serious escalation of the trade war, will be the consumers around the world. But aside from the temporary adjustments, I don't see it as a make or break for resource investors.
Elon Musk got a little testy when people were questioning Tesla's stock and whether they should be in it or not. And he just said, if you don't like volatility, then don't invest in Tesla. But people are also saying don't confuse the stock with the product, because the product apparently is very good.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I saw that headline, and I have to say, it tempts me to buy the stock just on that basis, right? Whether you like Musk or hate Musk, you got to kind of give a guy something for the chutzpah, right? To sit there and tell all these suits from Wall Street to not ask boneheaded questions. You know, you hear these same foolish questions over and over again on earnings calls, and you just got to scratch your head. You know, how do these guys make millions of dollars working at these banks, asking the obvious, or right? So I have to say, I'm not a Musk fanboy, but sometimes he does stuff that just makes me smile. It's a very contrarian kind of way of doing business. And if the stock tanks because people are angry at him because of what he said, that's not a fundamental. That has nothing to do with whether the Model 3 will achieve its production rates or any of the fundamentals that really should determine the value underpinning the share price. So I see a sell-off on annoyance from the suits is a buying opportunity. Am I actually buying Tesla? No. I just started my own business, and part of the business model is that I'm writing about what I put my own money into. All the readers that I've talked to about this vastly prefer that I be able to say I've got skin in the game with them. So that's what I'm doing now, and I've got a big shopping list of things that now that I've left Casey Research, I'm allowed to buy. And Tesla isn't on that list yet.
Well, how many other billionaires sleep on their factory floor to try to satisfy customers?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you could say about that. You know, and again, he's famous for having bluffed at one point to save Tesla from bankruptcy. And a lot of people admire that, and I kind of, you know, again, I admire the chutzpah, but what is bluffing? It's lying, right? I can't say that I entirely agree with or would give him a carte blanche on everything he says or does. And I get that Tesla would not be what it is today if he hadn't been the way he is. And SpaceX probably wouldn't be around at all anymore if he hadn't been as hard driver as he is. But if somebody had taken the time to build these companies a little more slowly, a little more carefully, would that be bad? I'm not sure. I'm a huge admirer of what he's accomplished, but I'm just not willing to say, therefore, you know, the man is perfect.
Do you feel the future is full of risk, and if you're not willing to take that risk, you're not going to be successful?
Absolutely. You have to take risks. But that doesn't mean that you're a wild gambler. And it doesn't mean that you have to bullshit your way into success or bluff or be anything less than transparent. I think if you've got a sound business plan, the truth should be on your side.
We'll have more with Lobo Tiggre right after the break.
I'm Kelly Jennings, CEO of Powerband Solutions. Powerband is a cloud-based provider of auction, inventory, and finance solutions that make buying, selling, and financing vehicles more efficient. Powerband Solutions trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol PBX. For more information, please visit us at powerbandsolutions.com.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario, with grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program to test numerous targets located by recent groundwork is planned for early 2018. Please visit our website at rmroyalty.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Lobo Tiggre. Lobo, what's your feeling about the Dow? It seems to be in trouble right now.
We've just had 9 years of rising equities on Main Street. It's not impossible for it to keep going up, but what are the odds, right? We have, depending on how you look at it, the Dow, the S&P, which numbers you use, we have a record-breaking run or an almost record-breaking run. Is it likely to go higher, or is it likely to correct? It's correcting already. Does that mean the wave is crested? I don't have a crystal ball. And I always encourage people to run away from anybody who says they have. What we can say, even if we don't know exactly what happens next, is that there's been a very long bull run, and the odds favor the opposite rather than a continuation. So I'm not a buyer of mainstream equities. I'm concerned about the economy, and I understand that the stock market is not the economy, but they are related. And whether it's sudden policy changes from the public sector hitting the private sector, or whether it's just economic realities emerging from places that are not transparent, like China roiling the markets, or anything else that upsets the cycle, there's reasons to be very cautious after such a long bull run. But in the same way that a rising tide may raise all ships, but not the ones with the holes in the bottom, a sinking tide doesn't necessarily have to take everything down with it. Because even in a bad market, a better mousetrap does well. You could even argue that a better mousetrap does better in a bad market because people are trying to save money. So if you have something like, I don't know, we were just talking about Tesla, take Tesla Solar. If that actually saves money for people in high-cost energy markets, then where you might have been, thinking about it but not motivated to do anything about it because it wasn't urgent, but if suddenly you're getting margin calls, you're tightening your belt, and you could drastically cut your energy bill, maybe you start thinking about the better mousetrap.
Well, I can imagine people in the Vancouver area are thinking about electric cars now because gasoline is at $1.60 a liter, $6.40 a gallon.
Sure. Yeah, that game has changed. And for me as a resource investor, I love that because it's not just about Tesla. That we're talking about a true paradigm shift here where it used to be just, electric cars were like golf carts. They were no fun. Nobody wanted to drive such a thing. And the incentives to switch over your house or your business or whatever, the government had some subsidies or whatever. Nobody would really do that on their own. That's changed. That's completely changed. The products are different. The advantages are different. The consumers want these products now. These products themselves are considered desirable. And the financial benefits from making the change, in some cases, the solar roofs will pay for themselves even without the subsidy. So that is a true tidal shift, and that makes it so that what was once called, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
A big boom and the power went out. So we'll see if we stay connected. All right, so what was once called alternative energy is now rapidly becoming the new mainstream energy. And what was once the mainstream, burning carbon fuels burning hydrocarbons of various sorts for fuel, and that's going away. That's soon going completely away. So this is huge. I can't stress this enough. This is a mega trend that will last for decades, and it has profound implications for resource investors. And those who watch that can profit.
Well, there in storm-ravaged Puerto Rico, didn't Mr. Musk say he'll help restore some of the power grid by using solar because you have so much of it?
He did make that offer. Rather, he tweeted about it as far as I know. And the governor said, let's talk. And I don't remember what happened after that. I have heard that there are some solar and battery installations that have gone in on a small scale in some rural communities. I don't know if those are Tesla or something else. But I have heard that actually is happening on a small scale. In terms of actually solving the problem in a big way, I think that would be fantastic. We have a lot of rain here, but it's very polite rain that usually comes for an hour or so in the afternoon and goes away. Apart from the hurricane season, there actually is a lot of sunlight here on a regular basis. So it could work out quite well. And we have the second highest energy cost in the United States. Our power bills are surpassed only by those on the U.S. Virgin Islands. So if there's a market here where you wouldn't even need subsidies, right, it would just pay for itself. This is one where that could work and make a great demonstration case.
We'll have more with Lobo Tiggre right after the break.
Vatic Ventures Corp. is a potash exploration company focused on the Korat Basin in Thailand, the world's largest undeveloped potash resource. Vatic's management has extensive potash exploration and development experience in Thailand. Vatic will have marketing advantage compared to Western producers. Drill program commences this spring. Vatic trades on the TSX Venture, symbol VCV, and on Frankfurt, symbol V8V2. Visit our website, vaticventures.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Lobo Tiggre. Lobo, what areas of investment have you excited right now?
I am keen to diversify. I'm known as a metals and mining guy. That was my mandate while I was at Casey Research for all those years. And so that's obviously where I'm going to start. It's my expertise. And there are companies that I like a lot. And I'm not going to name any now. It's not fair to my readers, especially as I'm still building my initial list. There are a lot of people joining now, and I don't want to undercut them. But there are companies that people who know me and have read my writing in the past, they'll know which ones I'm talking about, that I'm very keen on, and I'm really excited to actually be able to put my own money into these stocks now. I do believe that the next cycle, the next big move in the cycle for the resources is upwards, and I want to be able to participate in that, not just write about it, not just observe it, but be in the trenches with my readers and benefit from my work. So a lot of that. And specifically, I am keen on precious metals. I think I see them as a win-win scenario where they're both trading as commodities, but they also give you that safe haven aspect, which is important in our chaotic world. The world hadn't gotten any safer lately, if I look at the headlines. I'm also pretty keen on industrial minerals in general. Pretty keen isn't a very technical term. I say that because of for the same reason, the volatility in the world makes me a little bit cautious. But we were just talking about the new energy paradigm, and that makes me very bullish on that subset of industrial minerals that are involved in the new energy applications. And that's obviously lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, and things that go in the batteries, but also silver. I've been saying that maybe I'm a bit more of a silver bug this year than anything else because silver is an industrial metal used in many things, but it also goes in the solar panels that are very much part of the story. It's not just the batteries, it's the solar panels. And the current technology all uses quite a bit of silver. The average American home right now would have more than 1 kilo of silver on its roof to go solar. It's a lot of silver.
Are you surprised the price of silver has remained low because of the high industrial demand for it?
No. Yes and no. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but you know the old adage about the market being able to remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent? And silver is particularly wacky because it gets pulled in different directions. It follows gold very clearly. If gold has a sudden move up or down, silver will go up or down with it to some degree or another. Not one-to-one, but pretty close. And it doesn't matter whether the silver supply is tight then, it's in deficit then, or not. Or if a major mine, a copper mine that has silver as a byproduct shuts down, it doesn't necessarily affect the silver price. So it can be a little bit wacky. And what that does, though, is it creates situations where silver is put under unusual pressure. And it has these sudden breakouts, where sometimes silver just goes on a tear, not with gold, but way above gold, or separate from gold. I've seen a couple of these in my career, particularly in 2011. There was a time in 2011 where silver just shot up way faster than any other metal. And there's always the potential for that going forward.
Anything else you wanted to add to people who are listening to you perhaps for the first time?
I want to say that even though, again, I have been the metals and mining guy at Casey Research for all these years, I have broader interests. I was a physics major for a time. I'm a technophile. I made some money on Ethereum last year. I won't claim to be a new Bitcoin millionaire, but I am looking beyond. So I would just say don't pigeonhole me based on my past work. That's a piece of the pie, and I'm hoping to serve up a much bigger pie going forward. And I encourage people to come check me out at theindependenspeculator.com because I'm in there, in the trenches with my readers. I'm putting my money where my mouth is now, which I'm so happy to be able to do. And it matters a lot to me, the integrity of what I'm doing. It's a big part of what it's all about.
Thank you so much for being on the show, and welcome back.
Thank you. It's been great to talk to you again.
My guest has been Lobo Tiggre from theindependenspeculator.com. He was speaking to us from Puerto Rico. If you have any questions for Lobo or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.